Uh, to provide some more information about myself, I did my undergrad at U of T. I took a gap year and worked a little, and then I applied to the Masters of U of T and got in. So I'm happy to speak about my experience after the presentation, but I'll let Ashi introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. So I did an undergraduate degree in molecular genetics at U of T, and after that, I did a research-based master's also at U of T, following which I was working as a genetic assistant for 2 years, and then I got into genetic counseling school. And just to let everyone know, I got in after 2 cycles of applications, so on my second cycle. And that's a little bit about our background. Today, we'll talk to you about why Toronto. But if you have any questions regarding our path or just application questions, feel free to reach out.
Okay. Is everyone able to see the slides? Ashi, are you able to? Okay,
Mhm,
great.
yeah.
So this is a new section that we introduced for the information day. We understand that when people are making decisions on where to apply or when they're choosing how they want to rank their programs, there's lots of considerations that take place, one being the location of the program. And so for our presentation, we're really hoping to convince why Toronto is a great fit for you. So uh, throughout the slides, you're going to see some images, some cute images of raccoons, and we just thought that that would be funny because it's something that Toronto is known for. So keep a lookout for that throughout the slides. Okay. Okay. So this is just a collection of images from our orientation day. So in this school year, during our orientation day, we had a fun scavenger hunt type activity where we got to explore a little bit of Toronto, but also the U of T campus. So these are all the images, and this is something that you can look forward to if you choose to go to U of T. So something that I really want to highlight about Toronto is the diversity and multiculturalism here. Um, 55.7% of people identify as belonging to a racialized group in Toronto. And something that was very surprising to me was how much the diversity is reflected in languages. So there's 170 languages represented in Toronto, which is kind of crazy to think about. The reason why I want to highlight the diversity and multiculturalism is because we understand that sometimes people are moving from their home to a new city, and it's important for them to find a community. And I think with the diversity in Toronto, that's something that the city has to offer. Um, I would say that another highlight of being in a diverse city is also the patient population that we get to serve. I s- we have a role in educating patients, but we learn so much from our patients as well. And I think what's really fruitful is the different perspectives and lived experiences that they come with. So that's also kind of a bonus to having a program located in such a diverse city. And Ashi will touch on this in more detail, but I think the diversity is also reflected in our amazing food and the different activities and celebrations we have to offer. Okay, so on this slide, the raccoon is just really illustrating what my kind of route is to go to clinic. Um, so with us being located in downtown Toronto, most of our classes happen at the Patient Support Center that is connected to sick kids. We're really lucky to have a lot of hospitals nearby, being close to so many specialized clinics. And that means that we have very easy access to clinics. So lots of our clinics are walking distance, 10 to 15 minutes. There are some clinics that are more further away from the downtown core, and I will say that most of those clinics are virtual. So um, there's a space at the Patient Support Center that allows us to kind of do those virtual clinics in a private setting, so we can book rooms. But that's something I also wanted to highlight, that the clinics are really close by. So it makes it very convenient to go to class and clinic. Okay. So I know some of my classmates have touched on this before. Most of our classes happen in the patient support center. So this was a new building that was constructed, and we got to move in 2 years ago. Still fairly new to us. Most of our classes happen here. As you can see in the image below, that's just the first years kind of working together. So there's a lot of collaborative spaces and there's also spaces where you could book, like I mentioned before, to do those virtual clinics in case perhaps you don't have a private space at home or you're living with roommates. There will always be a space here to do that. Uh, there's also a great space to have lunch and just hang out with your classmates in between classes. So I also wanted to highlight the University of Toronto. Most of our classes happen at the Patient Support Center closer to the hospitals. But I still want to mention the campus because it's a beautiful campus, great architecture, many libraries that you could study in, and all of the activities or amenities that the campus has to offer. It's also available for us students. So although we're a little bit off campus, we can certainly access any of those amenities and activities there. Okay. So the last thing that I want to highlight before handing it off to Ashley is public transit. So this is something that I considered a lot when I was applying. How am I going to get to and from clinic, to and from school? And what's really nice about Toronto is our public transit. So many of the students, as well as the people who work at the hospitals, they use the subway as well as the buses to get to their clinic. There's a 2-hour transfer window, which allows you to go to different places without an additional fee within that 2-hour window. And there's also 31 night owl bus routes. So if you're out late doing activities, there's always a way for you to get back home. Um, and the transit is what I use every single day to get to clinic. I will say that all of my peers who live in Toronto use public transit, so they don't have their own cars to get to class. And so that's like an additional expense that you don't really need to take on um, out of the luxury and privilege of being located in Toronto and having our public transit system. Okay.
Okay, so I'm sure we've all gathered by now that this program is quite busy, but we do believe in a healthy work-life balance. And since U of T is situated in the core downtown, we get to take advantage of a lot of things that the city has to offer. Starting with the weather, as someone who moved to Toronto for school, watching the weather change is one of my favorite things about Toronto, and there's a lot to do in each season. There's a lot of parks that you can go to in the fall to watch the leaves change color during the fall. There's also a lot of Halloween events happening around the city. In the winter, a lot of people like to enjoy ice skating at Nathan Phillips Square. I have terrible balance, so I don't do that. But my favorite thing about winter is the Winterlicious Food Festival, where a lot of restaurants around Toronto have a prefix menu. It's a great way to try some new restaurants. The spring is a great time to start getting outside. Visiting the islands is a great idea. They have a lot of trails, walking and biking both, and you can have picnics. And summer is my favorite season in the city. The city is just super alive. There's a lot to do outside, and there's always events happening. Outdoor movie screenings is something that's really gotten popular in the last few years. Yeah, let's talk about things to do in Toronto. There's a lot to do in terms of film, art, music, and culture. TIFF is an event that happens every September, and it's a film festival where a lot of celebrities visit Toronto. You can attend a lot of free events, some movie screenings. Nuit Blanche is an annual event that happens every October. It's a performative art exhibit with art installations all around the city. It runs overnight, and there's a lot of live performances and just a great time. Doors Open is an event that happens in May, I think, every year, where a lot of buildings that have architectural and cultural significance that aren't usually open to the public are open to public for free, and you can kind of check out these buildings and learn more about the history. And there's always concerts and musical productions happening all over the city, all around the year. So there's definitely something for everyone. Some popular things to talk about that you can't forget when you're talking about Toronto is uh, was visiting High Park in the spring. It's really beautiful to see the cherry blossoms. The Christmas market happening in November and December is again a crowd favorite, and it's just a great way to take some time off, enjoy the holiday cheer. And the St. Lawrence market is a market that's open all year round and is a great place to learn more about it has a lot of historic significance, and it's a great place to kind of enjoy the Toronto food culture and buy some artisan cheese, meats from local vendors in Toronto. So I wanted to talk about some of my favorite parks in the city, as it's a great way to kind of unwind, take a break from everything that's happening. I have some of my favorites here, like the Toronto Musical Garden. It's a great park. They always have events happening in the summer. Shown here also is Riverdale Park. I love grabbing a pizza and going there with my friends. It has a beautiful view of the Toronto skyline during sunset. And I've also added a photo of the Love Park here. I think that's what it's called. It's right by Union Station. So I think it's really nice. That area can get really busy. And it's nice to kind of take a moment, step away, and just enjoy being in the nature. And finally, coming to the food in Toronto. It is known for its super diverse food scene. And one thing I love about the city is that you can enjoy dishes from nearly every cuisine in the world in the city. We love exploring the different food that Toronto has to offer. And here's some photos of our cohort enjoying the Toronto food. My classmates and I are also active on this app called Belly, where we love to track all the restaurants that we want to go to next. And so even if you don't have anything to do, there's always a new restaurant or a new cuisine to try in Toronto. So yeah, that's a little bit about the program and about the city. If you have any questions about Toronto, uh, questions overall, please feel free to reach out to me or Candace. We both have our emails here, and I'll paste them in the chat as well in case you miss it here.